I'm a self-confessed personality hire. I've sold wine over the phone, paparazzi photos, ad space. I'm Jodie Clarke, a journalist with a knack for flying sideways into rooms that weren't built for me. This is a career-driven series about instinct, charisma, and backing yourself. Welcome to The Personality Hire, the show where Riz is the resume. I'm your host, Jodie Clarke, and we have a very special guest here on The Personality Hire today. Seasoned, award-winning journalist and media founder, Poppy Reid. Let's get right here.
Thank you. Oh, I love hearing your news voice too. It sounds so legitimate.
We've been talking a bit, and what really inspired this episode for me is a recent Shondaland feature that you were in. 5 women who've embraced star power in their careers. Now, this feature directly called out Poppy for her star power.
That was such a nice feature that I got asked to be in. I met Laura when I was in Norway, in Oslo. I was there for a music festival and a conference, and she was covering the festival and the conference. She's a very talented live music photographer and journalist. And I'd left the Bragg Media, and she just hit me up and said, I want to write about your journey. I'm writing about a bunch of amazing women. And I happened to be in LA at the same time when she was writing it, but we couldn't get together in person. Schedules didn't align. But we had this lovely long chat. Weed gummies are legal in LA, and I had just gone on a really long flight, and I'd taken some weed gummies to relax on the very long flight from, where was I? Boston to LA, and I was feeling a little bit too relaxed. So I kind of remember half of what I said, but she made sense of it in the piece, so it worked out okay.
Well, shout out to Laura, because she really did her big one on this article. So I thought we could kick off, Poppy, by me reading just how she started the article, because it's just so relevant to what we're doing here at the Personality Hire. So let's get into it. Despite what we've been taught, career advancement is rarely linear. Often it's more of a series of twists and turns as we advance from position to position, or transition to different companies, or even start over in completely different fields. And no one knows that better than you, Miss Poppy Reid.
Life doesn't move in a straight line like you think it does.
It doesn't. And it certainly doesn't anymore, right? And that Shondaland feature really echoed the themes that we're exploring here at the Personality Hire. And I was hoping that we could dig just that little bit deeper.
Let's go.
Let's get into it. Let's get cozy.
Okay.
Poppy, you, to me, have carved out such a unique path, particularly in an industry here in the Australian media landscape. It's very brutal. It's competitive. And you're still booked and busy, honey.
Thank God.
Okay. Praise the Lord.
Thanking my lucky stars every day that I'm booked and busy, yes.
We love to see it, particularly, when we're navigating a time when, as we've chatted off the record, the old models just aren't working anymore. And I firmly believe that the trust is moving from brands to people.
Yeah.
Would you agree with me on that?
Completely. And I've been at the cusp of changes within the media landscape as long as I've been in the media landscape. I've watched us go from print to digital. Bragg magazine was a street press. We had a socials first strategy with that. And then towards the end of my time at the Bragg Media, which had Rolling Stone magazine, which had Variety, I was really thinking about podcasting. I had 3 podcasts when I was there. It was the Variety podcast, Rolling Stone, and the Music Network, which funnily enough is where I got my start as an intern, and then we acquired it, which was a nice feeling, that little 360 moment. But that was when I started to realize how important personality-driven and video content was, because we were getting so much engagement on those podcasts, and they weren't coming to the podcast because of the iconic mastheads that were pushing it out. It was because of the people that were involved, the guests that were involved. And it wasn't just, that video storytelling lesson that I had around podcasting. It was around personality-driven content that I was learning about at that time. Like, I was being asked to write Rolling Stone cover stories for artists with the publicists or the record label saying, we want you to write it. And I'm not saying, I'm the best or anything like that. It was because they wanted a trusted voice. Mm-hmm. And I think that we are seeing, that happened with Tash Sultana, that happened with Troye Sivan, that happened with Keith Urban, all of their cover stories I was asked personally to write. And I think we're just seeing so much more of that in media because there's such a distrust trust in traditional media. I think we're seeing platforms like CNN and Fox depreciate, and personalities like podcast hosts appreciate.
And what do you think is the driving force behind that distrust?
I think that there have been way too many examples where that trust has been abused, and I think that it is so much easier to be bought and sold as a media masthead than it is to be a personality. So you're a personality, obviously. If someone paid you a lot of money to push a product and you come out and say, this is one of the best products, I'm being paid for it, but 100%, here's my discount code, I 100% endorse this product, I'm more likely to use it because you have put your integrity and your livelihood on the line to push that product. And the same can be with opinions or agendas and things like that. I think the personal integrity tied to a personality is a lot stronger than it is to do with the brand, because if you slip up and it's actually not a very good product, your fans are going to tell you about it, and they're going to tell you within the comment threads, and they're going to tell you publicly, and you could use an entire revenue stream because of it.
It's almost like there's a greater sense of accountability when it's tied to a personality. And
because there's a greater sense of risk.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, I know I would never stand by something that I didn't believe in or I didn't feel was a reflection of my personal values. But it's hard, I guess, for companies. It's a lot more convoluted.
Yeah, a media publication can put the author as staff or not put anything at all, or they can push something that they haven't really vetted or checked. And I understand it. Like, it's very tough to commercialize businesses. I completely understand that not every company is pushing products or opinions that they have 100% vetted, thought about, done a focus group within their company. I just think that consumers are looking to personalities more so than mastheads for them to understand the world. And I read the stat that 60% of consumers are going to content creators to help them understand the news, because what's happening in the news and what mastheads are showing us is not as trustworthy as it used to be. And so they're going towards personalities who align with their own values to help unpack how convoluted it can be.
I mean, it makes sense when you peel it back. It's like, why wouldn't they? Why would, we're in the age of choice. Why wouldn't people be more aligned with that?
Yeah.
But as you say, it is constantly evolving, and there's many twists and turns. As a result of that, you've had a lot of twists and turns in your own career. You've just touched on, obviously, Rolling Stone. That chapter came to an end.
So the company I co-founded, we sold the business. So the Bragg Media had the license to operate Rolling Stone, Variety, and owned a bunch of publications like Tone Deaf, like the Bragg, like the Music Network. And the end of last year, we sold the business. No, the beginning of last year, we sold, sorry. And the end of last year, I left. Yeah, because with a new owner comes a new vision, and the new owners of the business didn't really believe in my personality-driven focus and where I thought media was going, and they really wanted to double down on the mastheads, which is absolutely understandable for them, but not where I see media going, or where I see media is.
Absolutely. So I can only imagine, though, for you that was a dream job for you, right? And you mentioned in the Shondaland article that your imposter syndrome kind of came in hot after that moment. Can you just take us back to that time?
When I co-founded the Bragg Media with Luke Gergis, we were growing by acquisition. That is literally how you can stay alive within media. And I said we should acquire the rights to Rolling Stone in this territory. And we did, and it was amazing. And 12-year-old Poppy was just screaming inside, very excited. With that comes a lot of responsibility. With that comes a lot of critique as well. But it was so much fun. And of course, as has happened through all of my career, the imposter syndrome comes up. The mask is going to fall off. I'm not worthy of being here. Everyone's going to figure out I'm a fraud. I don't know what I'm doing. And then it was a young girl that I was speaking to, and she just said this flippantly, like it wasn't even a big deal. She was like, I feel like imposter syndrome is a real privilege thing. Like, only people with privilege really have it. It stuck with me because I realized that if I had come from a place of much less privilege than I have, then I probably wouldn't be wasting my time in that position. I would be sitting there as co-founder of the Bragg Media, editor-in-chief of Rolling Stone Australia, and I would be using it to make stuff happen. And I would be really trying to just do awesome stuff with it. And it changed my brain. And every time I feel that feeling of imposter syndrome, I remember that it's a privilege to have it, and why waste the opportunity? That's where I'm at. And leaving the Brag Media, there was no imposter syndrome at all. It was more just like, I need this next challenge. I feel like I need to be where media is.
Leaving the Brag Media, okay, we're now heading into Curious Media, a new chapter as a co-founder. But it's funny for me hearing you talk about imposter syndrome, because I was talking to your manager about you, Luke Gergis, shout out for making this happen.
Yeah.
And I said to him, you know, Poppy, she just makes everything look so effortless. Like with her content, it just looks so easy for her. And he was like, Jodie, Poppy works really hard to make it look that easy. So it's crazy to hear you talk about imposter syndrome. How do you back yourself before you have the receipts or credentials?
I think you've got to get yourself qualified. Like you have to, like when Luke said, no, Poppy actually works really hard, it's so true. A lot of people have, you know, replied to a content piece that I had written or a video that I'd done and said, oh, this is so awesome, Poppy. And all my response is largely the same. Thank you so much. I worked really hard on it. Because I do.
Yeah.
I literally like fuss over everything. I try and make the content pieces as interesting as possible, as imparting as much knowledge as possible. And it's awesome that I look natural, but no, definitely like take one is not like that. Or, you know, the first draft is not like that. It really does like take time and effort. I don't think that I'm a naturally engaging person. I think I've just worked really hard at trying to be engaging.
And you've also taken a lot of risks throughout your career, and I'm sure some paid off, some didn't. An example of that was launching a magazine in COVID.
Yeah, I know.
Which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
When you look back at that time, do you think, no, I'm glad I backed myself?
100%. Yes. Like it was March 2020, the world completely changed, global pandemic underway, and we were planning our first magazine, and we were planning to put Tones and I on the cover. Dance Monkey was absolutely global. I wanted to change the way that people thought of Rolling Stone in this market. I wanted to put a female pop star on the cover. But I turned to Luke and I was like, well, obviously we don't have any news agents that are open. Like, how are we going to launch this magazine? And his response was, we said we were going to do it, so we're going to do it. And while many of the other media publications were kind of pulling back and slowing down and laying down, some of them literally had to fold, we decided to invest even more and stand up. And we were very lucky to be able to do that because of our investor, Sam Benjamin, who is an amazing human being who really cared about the vision that we were going through, and who really cares about music as well. So thank God we had an amazing strategy and we pushed through and we were successful. And I know that the new owners of Rolling Stone have stopped doing print, perhaps just for now, I'm not sure. But it was really fun to do a print magazine for a while there.
No regrets?
No. God, I mean, there's lessons. There's always lessons, but no regrets.
Now, you were behind the scenes for years as a music journalist before actually stepping into the camera yourself. Did claiming visibility ever feel uncomfortable to you? Because I know you've said online, and I say myself as well, I feel like I'm an introvert. You've said I'm an introvert.
Yep.
Other people would probably fight us on that because of what we do for a living.
I know.
But talk us through that, coming straight into the camera after being sort of behind the scenes.
Yeah, I didn't want to do it. I was at a meeting with Luke. We were doing an offsite where we strategized what the entire business needs. We used to do them every quarter. And he said, I want you to be the face of the business. And I was editor-in-chief and I was in the weeds with every piece of content, both commercial and editorial. And I said, no, I can't possibly do that. I can't be the face of the business and make sure that every content piece resonates with our audience and represents our audience. Like, there's just no way that I can do both. And he's like, exactly. We're going to have to bring someone else in underneath you to do that, so that you can be more the face. And it was so funny that I fought him on it because we really did go at it. And I was like, I need a minute. The last thing he said to me before I said I need a minute was, I don't know why you're holding yourself back. And so I went away and thought about it. And my highest value is growth. And so I thought, okay, this is going to be a huge amount of growth if I do take this on. But why am I resisting this? Like, really, what is the crux there? Is it the imposter syndrome? Of course, but what else is it? And I had realized that I had seen so many incredible female executives come and put themselves forward, come and be the face of the business, and then become a target. And I didn't want that for myself. I have had a little taste of what it's like to try and be cancelled. I mean, God, cancel culture is so silly to me.
Yeah.
But I didn't handle it so well. And I had a panic attack when it first happened. And I was like, I don't want that for me. I don't want that to be on edge. But if you live your life thinking of what other people think of you, I mean, that's a fast route to unhappiness for sure. So I said yes, and we moved into it. And I realized that I'm not so bad at it and I enjoy it. And then I realized how much more beneficial it was for the company. With me being the face of it, we actually saw a 30% increase in the brand deals that we locked in when I was having those commercial and editorial meetings as the face of the business. So it benefited the company, profitability went up.
And probably foreshadowed where we believe we're now heading.
Exactly. Every company needs a face of the business. If you do not have a personality-driven strategy for any brand that you have, then you probably need one.
I mean, say less. You know what team I'm on, Poppy. What role has instinct played in your career moves, especially when people doubted you?
I think instinct is everything. I think I've been able to kind of hone in on my instinct expertise through interviews. So I've been interviewing people for, 17 years now, long time. And you're sitting across from an artist or a celebrity, or you're on the phone with them, and you need to understand cues a lot. Body language is great when you're face to face. Those long, awkward pauses are great when you're on the phone. Sometimes they're very powerful. Sometimes it means that you're about to get something really juicy if you just let that awkward pause hold, and then they try and fill it with something. I love that. Louis Theroux is very good at that. So that's one thing that interviewing has taught me, and reading people, kind of really understanding like what's important to people based on their answers to things, based on how their eyes light up when you talk about one thing versus another. I think instinct is everything. And I think trusting your gut as well. Like not enough people actually listen to their gut when they're in a meeting or doing a presentation, like reading the room. So a lot of people might go into, say, a pitch meeting and go, I really want this out of it, so I'm just going to do this. They might have a bit of a conversation and then realize that what they want out of the meeting and what the brand is expecting out of the meeting are two completely different things. You need to be able to pivot.
And speaking of pivots, you are now the co-founder of Curious Media alongside Steve Grace. What has that chapter been teaching you? Because this is a big deal for your career.
It's been teaching me about podcasting. Like I obviously was dipping my toe, having hosted 3 podcasts at the Bragg Media. Steve and I bonded on podcasting and where we thought media is in terms of video storytelling, and we both love it. We both just are obsessed with that long form format and the context and the nuance that can be provided. You know, like if this turned into a written article, I'm sure so much value of what you've said wouldn't be included. I'm sure there might be moments where people might not understand my tone when they're reading a quote of mine, and perhaps my message might be slightly lost. There's none of that with a podcast. You know, this is me exactly as I am. This is you exactly as you are. And then the other thing that Steve and I really bonded over was our desire for more uncomfortable conversations within podcasting. So I'm sure that you have watched a podcast where someone's interviewing someone and they say something and they've almost said like a story behind it, or there's an anecdote, or there's something there, and then the podcast host just moves on to their next question, or perhaps feels like it's a touchy subject and moves on as a form of grace. I don't know. But Steve and I believe in going there and going there with compassion. We have a few podcasts in the roster now, and one of the remits is it's bringing guests that are willing to have uncomfortable conversations, but also if there is something a place that we want them to go, let's have a pre-chat with them and say, are you willing to talk about this? Is this an avenue that you're willing to go down with us in a safe space?
Well, that's just also like journalism 101, right?
Totally. Like knowing like how to kind of pull that trigger as well. And I think we're not seeing that in a lot of podcasts because not everyone comes from a journalism background.
Fair call. You were named a champion of change at the B&T Women in Media Awards. What do you feel needs to change in media right now, particularly around women, because you're also known for uplifting women in media and championing women in media?
I really want more women in board roles. I think, those gatekeeping, decision-making roles are so important to the entire industry, and we're not going to see gender parity if we do not have women decision makers. And so if we can get them in at a board level, the decision-making level, I think that will be better. But it's hard to recommend, a silver bullet or something to change for women. I think it's very individualized as well. I know what I would like to see more from myself, and I know what, it's kind of an individual experience, but yeah, definitely more women in decision-making roles, and I do understand that those roles are limited, so I would like for men to step aside and give women that space.
Yes. Let's just repeat that. If men can just step aside for a hot minute, that'd be great.
And this is where, feminism can come in from a male standpoint. Like I'm a true feminist in a way that not many other women are feminists. I want to work with men. I want men to want to work with women. I don't want to have some kind of man-hating echo chamber. I find that uninteresting. I find that unhelpful. What I would like is more collaboration. And some of that collaboration might be going, you know what? I think Jodie would do a really great job of this. I've done this for 5 years. How about we give her a spot?
I love it. I'm certainly more new age myself, and I just feel like, hating on men is very redundant. It's not going to move us forward.
Yeah.
We all need to have a seat at the table, but I would just like if there was more of us at that same table.
And I think there is space. I really when I said, there's only certain spaces on boards for sure, but the table being Australian society or Australian media, there is space for more women. It exists.
As a media founder, because we've talked about Curious Media, personality versus hard skills, you've hired and fired. What is your ideal ratio?
I think that hard skills are necessary for the job that you want, but I think that the personality side is going to level you up in ways that you just can't even understand until you have it. I think I need 70-30 in my employees. You must have those hard skills. And I also believe, that the personality, the culture fit is super important, but I believe the personality can be built. Whereas I would love for you to come in with the hard skills.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you reckon you actually believe the soft skills can be morphed over time?
I do.
Okay.
100% I do. I think you can build personality, you can build riz, as you say, over time, for sure.
I mean, I do agree with that. I think it can be built over time. And I also think it comes from taking up space before you're ready. Starting things before you feel like things are polished. Even a podcast episode, I'm not entirely sure if I've planned it perfectly enough. Let's just get in there, have a conversation, don't overthink it.
Do you like the saying, finished is better than perfect?
The perfectionist in me doesn't like it.
I know.
But yes, absolutely. Yeah, finished is better than perfect.
Finished is better than perfect is something that I have to live by. This is a fast-paced environment. We have deadlines that we need to hit. We need to experiment with social media. What we believe is perfect in terms of a thumbnail, a social copy, a headline banner when we're talking about a social media snippet from one of our podcasts might be perfect this week, and then in 2 weeks when the algorithm changes, it's not getting anywhere. So let's experiment. Let's kind of get things out there and read the data and see what works. And a lot of that is needing to have the position of finished is better than perfect.
You've got to, I completely agree. You've got to be in the mix. And if you don't start, you'll never know.
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of people holding off because, I don't have this, my sound isn't right. Like, speaking of podcasting, perhaps, I'm not good on camera, rah, rah.
I don't have enough followers. I've just started a handle from scratch. If the quality is there, people will come in time. And I would rather have quality conversations than just doing something slap bang just for the sake of followers.
Can I say something controversial?
Yes, go for it.
Not even just if the quality is there,
Yeah.
if the quantity is there. If you are teaching the algorithm that every Thursday at 7 p.m. you are putting out a piece of content, the algorithm will push you through. It's about consistency.
Consistency over perfection.
Yeah, consistency over perfection. Let's go.
Let's go. In your opinion, Poppy, what actually makes someone stand out?
As an employee or in life?
I think as an employee, if someone was coming to you saying, Poppy, I want a job.
I'm looking at this is wrong because it's kind of the same as in life for me. It's their personal brand. Like if they have a strong personal brand and that brand is I'm a data nerd and all I care about is social media data and analysis and I'm obsessed with the algorithm, I need to know that from every inch of your being. You look at the personal brands of big stars. So Tash Sultana, for example, they always wear a trucker hat. They always either have their hair out or tied back, but they have their long hair. What's that guy? Alex Hormozy, the podcaster. No, sorry, he's not a podcaster. He's on a lot of podcasts and he's built multiple businesses. Right now, he's pushing some kind of nose tape that helps you breathe more. So when
I think I've seen those ads. I think I've been served those ads.
Okay, so you probably know the look of Alex because he's got the nose tape on. It's a black line across his face. He's got a hat on. He's got long hair as well and facial hair. So he's got a very strong personal brand. Amy Shark, for example, the top knot, like amazingly, and the Adidas, amazingly strong personal brand for that woman. Love her. So I think it is about that strong personal brand, and you don't have to be wanting to be a celebrity to want and need to have a strong personal brand.
So just leaning into whatever, is authentic to you.
Makes you you. Yeah. Totally.
Who works harder, Gen Z or millennials?
I think that every generation works less than the generation before them. I think that millennials work a bit less than boomers, and I think that Gen Z works less than millennials. And I just think that that's how generations have been going. I think it's partly because each new generation finds a quicker, faster way to do things. I think that the generation before them has made things a bit easier, and so they can take their foot off the pedal just a little bit more on certain things. So I would definitely say that Gen Z works less than millennials, but millennials work less than the generation before them.
I definitely agree with that. So what I do at the end of each guest episode is I do what we call a rapid Riz round.
Okay, already. That's looking very official, Jodie.
It's looking very official. Shout out to Officeworks. all my budget's gone on these cards. What's something people do at work that should be illegal?
Oh my God, when they come in and they talk about their weekend for over 10 minutes. Keep it to 5, moving on.
Oh, that's so true. Why do we have to, what's with the niceties? Can we just end the freaking Monday morning niceties? No one cares.
I care about what happened on your weekend, but if it's over 10 minutes long, I'm out. Let's freaking go.
So fair, so fair. What is the most unhinged or unexpected job you've ever had?
Probably when I worked at Pizza Hut during high school. All of my girlfriends also worked there. So when we would want a night off, say a Saturday night to go, this is on the Gold Coast, to go up to Surfers and walk the streets because we were underage, some of us would have to work because we were literally the entire staff. So we would hang out at Pizza Hut while the others were working and secretly drink and try and get them off their shift earlier by doing some of their jobs for them. But we mucked around a lot. It's Pizza Hut, it's fast food. A lot of the time is spent trying to work out how to do the job quicker and easier and literally play with the food.
I reckon Pizza Hut would be up there with Macca's. I reckon Macca's to me always seemed like the funnest job.
Yeah, I mean, it is fun. I think every kid needs a little fast food jaunt in their career history.
Yeah.
And it really taught me the value of money because I think I was paid under $6 an hour.
Yeah. When I think about some of my early jobs, I'm like, wow, yeah, $5 an hour. I'm like, well, how did I exist?
It really was just pocket money to help me get to and from the job, really. And then maybe a little Macca's run on the weekend with the girls. So yeah, no. But I think everyone should do a fast food jaunt.
You can poach one staff member from any Aussie media brand. Who are you stealing and from where?
I love Emma Gillespie from the Daily Oz. I think what they're doing over there as a media company is amazing. I also think Emma has a really beautiful way of tackling tough topics from a measured, centered point of view. And I think the Daily Oz does that quite well as well. I also just like being around her. I've met her a couple of times. We're not friends, we're not close, but whenever I've been in her presence, she makes you feel warm. I would love to work with her, but she's absolutely killing it over there, and so is the Daily Oz.
Shout out to the Daily Oz. I've got a good friend of mine, Elliot Laurie. He works there as well. absolutely loves it.
Yeah.
So you coach M, I'll steal Elliot.
You steal Elliot. Yeah.
And we're just going to, take over the Daily Oz.
Yeah. And then I have another one.
Go for it.
Cam Nugent from Rival Media, who run a podcast called The Agency Podcast. He's a producer over there, among many other hats that he wears within the business. But I got to deal with him with his producer hat on. They had me on as a guest. And just how, like, the pre-chat that we had and how he kind of sets you up to have slam dunks within a podcast, I thought was really beautiful. Like, the work and the thinking and the research is like not too dissimilar to what you do, Jodie. You know, you give a pre-chat, you talk about what topics you might go into, like you make people feel very comfortable.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
I try. So this is a new one that I've.
Why am I nervous when you laugh looking at it? Oh God.
We're going to envision a scenario here, so just stay with me. This is not a real life scenario, but we're going to put our imaginations on, our thinking caps on here. So you've just caught me stealing from the petty cash at Curious Media, your company. How do you fire me?
I'd say, where the heck did you get petty cash? We don't have any. We're a digital first company. No.
It's so funny because I was thinking, who has bloody petty cash these days?
Number one. Okay, so you're stealing, right?
I'm stealing from the company that you founded, Poppy.
It's the most simple answer. Have a conversation, cut you off from everything, tell you you're not welcome back. The end.
But Poppy, in this economy, honey, a girl's got to get it how she lives.
Then you need to come to me with that. We need to have a conversation with that. If you are doing it hard, you need to come and have a conversation with me, not steal from this imaginary. And where do we get this little bit of cash? And how much are we talking? Because petty cash is like nothing, right? It's like $20.
Well, I mean, Curious Media is rolling in it.
So our petty cash is lots, you think?
There's lots of petty cash.
Okay.
And maybe you do like a weekly coffee run for the staff. So, the petty cash it's flush up at Curious Media.
Babe, if you need a coffee, like I've got you. Just come to me. You don't need to steal.
So you're a girl.
But also you did steal, so you're out.
So you're a girl's girl. Like you're the dream boss because she's for the girlies.
Yeah,
she's for the girlies. So best career advice you've ever received?
Oh, that's an easy one for me. So there's this incredible woman called Susan Heyman. She is the COO at Frontier Touring, one of the biggest touring companies in Australia. And she was doing a speech at a Women in Music event. I was speaking as well, and the task was your 3 bits of advice. I don't remember anything that I said. I remember what she said verbatim. She said, as a manager, you don't always have to have the answers. You just need to know where to find them.
Oh, say that again.
You don't have to have all the answers. You just need to know where to find them. The relief that gave me as a manager, as someone that was suffering from imposter syndrome at the time, it was so beautiful because I thought, oh my gosh, I don't need to know how to, do this budget for this, how to make this P&L work, how to do this production schedule for this. I just need to, and I did know who to go to. I had people that I could call on. I had mentors that I could call up. So that was a huge relief for me. And for her to be at the level that she's at and the respect that she's so deservedly given on the daily, for her to have that approach as well was a nice relief for me.
That's beautiful. Well, that's how I feel about you, Poppy.
Aww.
You're someone that I look up to so much. So I just want to thank you again for coming on the Personality Hire, because Riz is evidently on your resume.
Thank you, Jodie.
So thank you so much. Let's give it up for Poppy Reid.
Thank you.